One among the latest French horror films, we have to mention Teddy, which was released in 2021 and directed by the young twin brothers Ludovic and Zoran Bakurma. Acclaimed by critics, the movie tells the story of a young man who is a bit rebellious and on the fringes of society, and one day gets bitten by a strange beast. We don't know whether it is a werewolf or another monster, but that is the theme of the movie. That is actually a lot of fun to watch, mixing horror and teenage atmosphere in the middle of the French countryside, and ending in a surprise. Sort of a new version of Hunger Games with an ultra-violent horror feel, American Nightmare tells the story of the United States after the fall of the present-day world. In the midst of Reconstruction, the leaders give away one night a year in which any action, even the most violent, is permitted. This time period is actually called the Purge, and it brings some truly nightmarish scenes. Extremely gory, the film is very popular, so much that it led to 4 sequels, all of which present a region and an idea of modern-day America. Today, the movie has become extremely cult in terms of horror, and everyone knows Chucky, the killer doll, even those who have never seen a horror film. Released in 1988, it tells the story of a serial killer who manages, before getting caught by the police, to transfer his soul into a doll, which then gets offered to a child. But the killer knows that he has to kill the child in order to recover a human body. That creates a cruel and gory movie, which clearly traumatized many children who got scared of dolls, and remains today one of the most cult films of the genre. For if you like horror films, giallo is one of the subgenres from Italian cinema that you should explore. It is an Italian blend of horror, crime and eroticism, which are themes that are rarely addressed in cinema. In the movie, Belgian couple Helene Cattet and Bruno Forzani revisit this mythical genre of the 1970s in this masterpiece titled America. It is a film about a woman, Anna, and her life since childhood. Starring several unknown actresses, the film is actually forbidden to children under the age of 12 because of its impressive scenes and strong violence. An adaptation of Stephen King's book, Carrie is a masterpiece of horror and a true masterclass from Brian De Palma. It tells the story of a young girl unhappy in her life, bullied at school and by her mother. Humiliated at the prom, she loses her temper and takes a very bloody revenge on her classmates, and ends up killing pretty much everyone, before killing herself and her mother. Highly innovative, the film changed many details of the story but was praised by Stephen King. Several remakes have been made, but the most famous one was released in 2013. Released in 1978, this film traumatized a whole generation with the dangerous fishes, which are not actually that bad. Of course, it is much more of a comedy, somewhat parodying Jaws, and inspiring other absurd and terrifying movies. It had several sequels, but this one remains the most famous, particularly because of the scenes of swimmers being eaten by piranhas. What you should remember from the story is that, when teenagers start screaming in a swimming costume, it must definitely be because there are some dangerous fishes around. If you are not familiar with Japanese cinema, we would recommend getting into it now, and particularly for horror films, because its directors are quite good in this field. Kiyoshi Kurosawa, not to be confused with Akira Kurosawa, is one of the masters of the genre, and Cairo is undoubtedly one of his best films. Released in 2000, it was nominated at the Cannes Film Festival the following year. It is the story of a mysterious website that seems to drive people to suicide, which is heartbreaking. The movie builds up pressure bit by bit, until the surprising ending. Delamort. The concept of this movie is pretty special, as it builds from the fact that cemetery guards would have to put the corpses back in their coffins every night, making sure that none of them escaped. This is the scary starting point of this Italian horror comedy, which was released in 1994. Very dark, it tells the story of a caretaker and his mentally handicapped assistant who watch the people around them die little by little. You should watch it as it is an interesting film that leaves you in suspense until the very end, and one you will remember for a long time. Halloween is a 1978 American film, which launched Jamie Lee Curtis' career and made her a real icon. The plot revolves around the story of dangerous murderer Michael Myers, who murdered his sister when he was 6 years old, got incarcerated and 15 years later escaped to go back to the town of Haddonfield. He then goes on to kill more and more people until the end of the film, where Dr. Samuel Loomis, his psychiatrist, shoots him and knocks him off the balcony. However, his body is never found, and it is implied that he could still be out there hiding. Probably one of the most famous thriller films of all time, Steven Spielberg's Jaws will definitely keep you on the edge of your seat. Instead of bringing us to haunted houses or towards spiders, the director takes us all to the ocean, but don't get fooled, it won't be relaxing. Just because the setting is a beach holiday, it doesn't make it any less scary, on the contrary. If you live in England though, October doesn't bring to mind beach holidays, so you should have time to recover before your next beach adventure. And for those who are going on holiday to a tropical paradise, we suggest you don't watch it before going.
For such cool and interesting information, subscribe and like our top most Sing English channel and page. Thank you for watching.